Hello, this is Tim, and I want to talk in this fourth video about world building about locations and the idea of spiral world building. At least that's how I've heard it, discussed and talked about. So locations. I talked a little bit how if you work from the top down, that you're going to have a lot of work that your players are never going to see because, they're on this side of the map and this stuff up here is, so far away from them that they're probably never going to get there unless there's some sort of teleportation spell or some sort of gateway that they go through. But locations, you're going to spend a lot of time probably in preparation, especially if you're working on your setting and trying to be intricate about it. Spiral world building is an idea where you make interesting things. You make a powerful tower that has 15 levels or whatever, but it doesn't have a location yet on the map. And it kind of just floats in limbo until you think it would be a good time for the players to bump into this tower and have this adventure. Or maybe there's a strange lake that you make and you come up with interesting creatures that are in it, and maybe it's not on the map yet. Maybe it's not on any map, and maybe the players are the first ones to discover this lake. But in the idea of spiral world building, the maps that the players have access to are very vague. A kingdom might have a name and maybe borders, but that's it. And there's nothing else there that they know of until they actually go there. So if you make a map like that, where it's very vague, you might have some waterways and some rivers and things, but maybe not even that much detail. If you see a lot of older maps of explorers, a lot of times the layout of the land isn't exactly as exact as we're used to. Maybe the lines meander right way too far to the right, or they exaggerate how big something is. And like those ideas you can bring into especially a fantasy game, where you maybe make a player's handout of, okay, this is the map that you can buy at the local equipment store, and you look at it and there's just squiggly lines and maybe 4 or 5 kingdom names on it. It may be some places that that mapper has been to. So maybe you see a bunch of little detailed information in this little meandering line, and I don't know. Take that and run with it as you will. So when you come up with locations, I strongly suggest maybe just having a folder. And as interesting ideas come into your head of, it'd be really cool if there was like this cave and it was really shiny and there was like, imprisoned souls in the crystals in the cave. Maybe that's your idea. Okay. You flesh out that idea and you don't tether it to any place on the map. It just goes into the folder. And maybe another day you're like, it'd be really cool if there's like some sort of labyrinth somewhere and all these strange creatures that were once humans, and once they were trapped in the labyrinth, they slowly changed into these strange creatures that are part of the labyrinth. That's another idea. Don't tether it to a location, put it into the folder. So you almost have this bank of all these neat locational, is that even a word? All these neat locations in this folder. And the players are going to have this ability, which I like to call the illusion of choice. They're gonna say, okay, like let's say you give the characters or the players a choice. You're like, okay, what way do you want to go? And they might, players that are used to being railroaded might not even know what you mean. You're like, what are you talking about? Which way I want to go? Which way are we going? Where's the next adventure at? Especially in like sandbox style games, which is the kind of games I like to run, where I give the players a lot of freedom to tell me where they're going, what they're doing, and some players don't like this style of play. They want to be sort of directed to go different areas. So depending on your players, it might not work for them. But I don't know. Like let's say they're lost in the woods, and you give them a little bit of hints, like, okay, well, the sun is setting over here, so these cardinal directions. Which way do you go? Do you go north? Do you go south, east, or west? In a situation like that, if you work from the top down and you've planned it out where all the cities are, where all these ruins are and stuff, interesting locations, if they choose the direction that none of that stuff is in, you're kind of like, they're going off into the gray area of the map where I didn't spend any time at all. So what the heck what is going to be there? And you might be able to just, pull something out of nothing. Your little muse will tell you something in your ear like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we'll do this. Sometimes that works out great and you really surprise yourself. Other times it's kind of crappy. So if you're in that situation, you kind of have to take it or leave it. But if you're using the spiral world building idea, where you have this folder of all these interesting locations, that situation doesn't bother you. Because you can just go, okay, so they're going south. So on the map now, the player map, there you look through your folder, it's like, oh, you come up on this just strange labyrinth that's in front of you. So on the player map now, the labyrinth is located, let's say they chose east. It's located east, and it's now on the map because they bumped into it. The idea is that the world is a very fuzzy place until it's viewed through the eyes of the characters. So that can really help you. It can reduce GM preparation so that if you have 6 things in the folder and you come to a place where you're like, oh, I don't know what to do next, you have sort of like plan B, something that you can fall upon to just throw at them whenever they go ways you're not expecting. And you can even, like I said, if you take that further, maybe there's nothing on the map, and the only thing that they know of is the small little hamlet that they've always grown up in, and then the world just grows as they make choices and as they go in different directions. I really like sandbox type play where it really is about the characters and what choices they make. I'm probably one of the biggest anti-railroaders there are. I really don't like being railroaded at all. I intentionally make decisions sometimes that maybe GMs get kind of grumpy about, but I like to, if it's an option and it's possible, I like the freedom to be able to choose that option. If it makes sense that my character could physically do something, then why shouldn't it be an option? So I'm very big on that and just giving my players freedom. And like I said, not all players like that. Some people like more structure, more, we're in this room, we have 2 options, we can go left or right, and those are our only 2 options. And don't get me wrong, that's nice too, especially for GM prep. A dungeon is very simple to prep. You figure out what's in the rooms, traps, secret doors, whatever, and you just roll with it. And the more I game, the more I like the different styles of play, and I like to be able to dabble in them all. I'm not a hardcore hack and slasher all the time. I'm not a very deep story person all the time. I'm not always right down the middle. I like to do different things. I like to try different games. But when you world build a setting, you can really try to incorporate all of your likes and dislikes into one setting. Or if that's really not going to work and you think that, this really doesn't mesh well with this idea, you can make 2 settings. And maybe you can even combine both settings. Maybe there's 2 planets that are really close to each other, or 2 planes of existence that have gates between the 2 of them. So it's almost like you are making one setting, but you're able to have different rules and different laws of physics in one than another one, and that could be interesting as well. But hopefully these videos have helped some of you out there. I really haven't heard much about world building on YouTube, so I wanted to make these videos. If you have any ideas as far as what would be good ideas for world building, please feel free to either make video responses or just respond below the video in the comment section. I'd really like to hear how some of you out there make your own settings. I've done reviews of the AD&D World Building Handbook, and that's really helped me out. I really enjoyed reading that book. So check that out if you want some more detailed ideas. But thanks for watching, and hopefully you make some interesting settings out there.